The voice in my head is gone. I don't have the angry, critical, mean bitch in there I used to. So you can learn how to do this. And in the book, in Heavily Meditated, I talk about, okay, if you have a hard time paying attention, you actually have a hard time moving blood to the front of your brain. I had such a hard time that I was failing out of Wharton Business School when I was 30 years old. And I had to learn how to move the blood back in. And there's a device in the book that will teach your brain to move blood to the prefrontal cortex, which is what's required for you to focus. So anyone who has ADHD, I've done 2 interviews on my podcast about that tech called Mendy, and another interview about a video game called Endeavor that in clinical studies, both of those will reverse ADHD. So let's train your brain to pay attention. I like to think of the nervous system, the mitochondrial networks, as a Labrador retriever, big floppy dog. It comes into your house, it slobbers on everything, it tears up the couch, it eats the food off the counter and barks all the time and on pees on the carpet. Like, great. Or that same dog can have a service vest and it'll sit there attentively and you can put a piece of popcorn on its nose and it won't eat the popcorn until you give it permission. You can have a nervous system that's one of those two things. So if you, quote, can't pay attention, I would argue you have an untrained biology. All of our bodies come with an operating system, right? And the operating system does stuff that we're not supposed to be aware of. And yours is constantly scanning for threats, and it doesn't know how to put blood and electrical activity in the front of your brain, which allows you to pay attention for as long as you want. And I've shifted my
Could
brain dramatically that way.
could this be why a lot of people maybe have gut issues is because they're always in a fight and flight state and they can't relax and they're always
Mhm.
like on guard of like an attack?
It's so funny. In Heavily Meditated, I read about the vagus nerve and the technologies for controlling this. And the vagus nerve is known as the wandering nerve, and it's the one that connects your gut with your brain and your heart. So it's the fight or flight parasympathetic. And if you have a lot of stress, you will have issues in your gut. If you have issues in your gut, you'll have a lot of stress. So which one came
Mhm.
first? I don't know. They're connected.
Man, I struggle with that all the time because I'm always just going, multiple things happening at once with jobs and stuff. And okay, I'm gonna have to get this book and dive into it a little bit more. There's I don't want to say a myth, but there's something going around that says you can lose weight by simply changing the way you're thinking, no diet change or anything. Do you think that is that true?
Technically, it is possible, but very, very few people can do that. And it will not work unless your biology is working. So if you have healthy cell metabolism and you don't have toxins blocking your cell's ability to do things, and you have very good, it's called interoception and interoception, and basically you're a trained meditator, you can envision a new body and your body will adapt to that. However, practically doing that while eating Cheetos every day, it doesn't work because to do that, your cells have to be able to make energy to be able to feel and act at their full power. And if you eat a crappy diet and you're lacking minerals, your ability to manifest change in your life, in your body, in your career, in your relationships, it is limited because you are energetically limited. So part of it
Okay.
is how do I make my body at full power so that my mind can manifest, so that I can visualize, so that I can create change in the world, in my life. And that's why it's a complex answer. What your body's really doing before you have a chance to even think is it's running through this set of checks to make sure that the environment is okay for you because your brain is very slow compared to the reaction time of your body. So if you touch a hot stove, you pull your hand away and then you say, good thing I pulled my hand, but something else pulled your hand away. You just took credit for it. So that part of your
Mm.
body, it's invisibly keeping you alive. It also is pumping your heart and making you breathe and all that stuff you don't pay attention to unless you try. So
Okay.
here's what it's doing. Step one, these are all F words, and it's easy to think about this. This happens in 1/3 of a second before your brain gets any signal from the world. So number one, is it scary? This is fear. So if so, and your body thinks it's scary because it once saw something scary that felt like that, it will send you a signal of anxiety and fear. And then you'll believe that. So the guy will walk into the room who looks like someone who's mean to you in high school. Your body, before you can think, is going to send you a signal of discomfort and lack of safety. It doesn't matter if it's the same guy. It's going to feel like it's not safe, regardless of whether it's actually safe. So fear. And let's say, okay, you get past the fear because it wasn't scary. And then it's going to say food, which is the second F word. And famines have killed everything over the last 2 billion years. So your body's really worried about having enough food, which is why 1/3 of the average person's thoughts every day are about tacos. Well, they're about food anyway. Literally 1/3 of the voice in your head is what's for lunch? What's for dinner? What's for lunch? Ooh, ice cream. Ooh, pizza. You can quiet that voice too. And that frees up some other cycles. So fear, food, the third F word, all life has to do it to stay around for multiple generations. And you think about it a lot. You know what that one is?
I'm afraid to say it.
Obviously, you're thinking about fertility, right?
Oh, fertility. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the F word.
that's the
Okay, the
one.
other F word too, right? So fear, food, we'll say fertility. Okay. Now, if all life on Earth looks at everything that you sense through those three things, basically, is it scary? Can I eat it and can I hump it? Is there
Hmm,
anything that you're ashamed of you've ever done that isn't from one of those three things?
no.
Awesome. Your mitochondria are the problem. It's not you.